of federal schools or somewhere, suddenly the teachers begin to perform better. The system begins to perform better because someone is taking interest for action. That is really what is needed. And I think at this point, I'd love to have Seher Afshin, who's currently the country head for VSO in Pakistan, also supporting ASER, and especially in the refugee areas where the work is going on, but deeply invested, like other partners. Okay, you know, how do we get that attention to the most vulnerable groups, the girls, transgenders, refugees, host communities, which are all over the country and need urgent attention. Over to you,
Thank you so much, Bela. Thanks a lot. And I'm really honored to be here in this platform. And Bela, first of all, loads of congratulations to you for another successful completion of ASER. I've seen your struggles for over more than a decade, and I know it wasn't an easy process.
Success will only come with action. So hold your success story.
So all your team and you, I think I really commend your resilience, your zeal, and also, your commitment towards, improving the quality education in Pakistan. Voluntary service overseas, I would like to, just share that, inclusive education is one of the key thematic and focus area of our commitment as well. And our next strategic plan from 2022 to 2028 actually has a very significant focus on making access to education and quality education, as one of our prime objective. And I think that's the reason that why we are also a partner in Pakistan, with all the key education initiatives. What we basically, after looking into some of the findings that ASER is actually pointing towards, I think there's so many insights into the work, that, it's informing us on so many levels. Particularly, when we talk about the quality education, also making access, the infrastructural issues and challenges, and also, making financing, and resourcing increase towards education. I think this is very, very important. Also, voluntary service overseas is actually, as its name, tells you that, we believe that volunteerism is really, really important for bringing change. And also, giving people the leadership role in bringing, change within their societies. I think this is very, very important. And this pretty much relates, to our education agenda as well, because as we know that the magnitude of the issue actually asks us, to work together by bringing in the communities as well. And I think our model for volunteering for development actually, resonate with that pretty well. We have been working, in the most remotest areas of Pakistan, in KPK and Balochistan, where we have actually, equipped local volunteers, local young women, to become, agent of change within their communities. So they are now, teachers to those students who are out of school, but they are also pursuing their own studies. So I think this is such a transformative approach, which has helped, improving those girls in achieving their education outcomes as well. So my, commitment and call for action on today is actually, we all know, I think we have already heard that commitment that we need to treat education as an emergency, because we know the issue is really, really big. And I also feel that we need to depoliticize this agenda, and this needs to be a state agenda. And we all need to be, need to advocate, for an increased resourcing and also appropriate planning for those resources as well. Because I think it's really, really need of the time that we really need some innovative solutions to bring, different stakeholders on board and work towards, creating some joint solutions. So thank you so much, Bela, and congratulations again.
बहुत shukriya, Seher. Always a great partner. And we're just winding down towards the end. I just thought कि हमारे पास माशाल्लाह से यहाँ पे शानी और गोगी दोनों मौजूद हैं, जो कि ट्रांसजेंडर्स के लिए एक पूरा एक सेंटर चला रहे हैं बड़ी अमाम में. और ये गवर्नमेंट ने भी बहुत इनिशिएटिव दिए, नेशनल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन से भी. तो इशू ये है कि वी आर नॉट जस्ट सीइंग data on transgenders come, but we're seeing actions already taking place and some great blueprints which can be replicated in many parts. मैं चाहूँगी कि कम से कम एक उनमें से कोई बोले थोड़ा सा, और उसके बाद we'll go to NCHT and we wind down to Wasim साहब and to the Minister साहब. I'm so grateful sir कि आप बैठे हुए हैं, आज बहुत important वक्त है, बस थोड़ा सा वक्त और चाहिए आपसे.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम. अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा
तालीम
नाम
के लिए आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं?
जी मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ, मेरा नाम गोगी है। तो मैं तालीम की वजह से यहाँ पे पहुँची हुई इतने इतने बड़े लोगों में। अगर मैं बैगिंग कर रही होती यहाँ ना होती मैं, ठीक है। तो हम शुक्रगुजार हैं सेंटर का, माशाल्लाह, अल्लाह खुश रखे उनको। तो हमारी अपील है आप लोगों से, हमारा ख्याल किया जाए। हमने बहुत धक्के खाए, मैं थोड़ा सा ओल्ड दौर की हूँ, तो उस टाइम मुझे बहुत शौक़ था इल्म हासिल करने का, पर हमारी हुटिंग की जाती थी, तो मैं महरूम रही हूँ उस दौर से। तो आज माशाल्लाह मैं खुश हूँ नेशनल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन की, जिन्होंने हमें यहाँ तक पहुँचाया है। अब मैं नाम भी लिखना जानती हूँ, 100 तक गिनती भी सीख गई, ABC भी सीख गई हूँ मैं। तो मेरी दरख्वास्त ये है, इतने इतने बड़े लोग हैं, मैं एजुकेशन की वजह से यहाँ पे पहुँची हूँ। तो अब ये अदारे जो है ना, स्कूल जो है ना, हमें ट्रांस के फ़ोन आते हैं, भाई हम इमाम बारी नहीं आ सकते। हम 60 लोग हैं जो तालीम ले रहे हैं, मेरे से ओल्ड भी हैं। तो हमारी ये अपील है, तो आप ये जो अदारे हैं, स्कूल हैं, माशाल्लाह सब सूबों में हो जाएं, सब ज़िले में हो जाएं, क्योंकि सब अब तालीम हासिल करना चाहते हैं। हमने यकीन करें, मैंने तो 6 महीनों के बैगिंग छोड़ दी है, हमारी
क्या
हेल्प भी
बात
होती है यहाँ पे। तो हमें भी इज़्ज़त की ज़रूरत है। अब जब बैगिंग करना हो तो यकीन करें इज़्ज़त नफ्स यहाँ पे रख के भीख मांगनी पड़ती है, ठीक है ना। तो अल्लाह
थैंक यू।
खुश रखे, हमारी ये अपील है। अब शानी साहिबा बात करेंगी आपसे, माशाल्लाह। जी जी, ये मैं कर देती हूँ,
आ जाइए,
शानी आ जाए।
शानी बोलेंगी।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैं नेशनल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन का नहायत दिल से थैंक्स करती हूँ कि जिन्होंने हमारे लिए ये स्कूल बनाए और हमें इज़्ज़त दी। और अब हमें भी माशरे में पता चल रहा है कि हमारे भी कोई हकूक़ हैं, हमारी भी सब इज़्ज़त करते हैं, और मैं इसका दिल से थैंक्स करती हूँ। और जिस गली मोहल्ले में मैं रहती थी वो मुझे कुछ और नज़रों से देखते हैं। अब उसी गली मोहल्ले से मैं, जब बैग मेरा होता है, स्कूल की वर्दी होती है, तो वही मुझे इज़्ज़त की नज़र से देखते हैं और मुझे कहते हैं कि बहुत अच्छा कर रही हो, तुम पढ़ रही हो। तो इसलिए ये क्रेडिट जो है सारा ये नेशनल एजुकेशन फाउंडेशन को ही जाता है। तो मुझे भी अपना नाम नहीं लिखना आता था, अब मैं नाम भी लिख सकती हूँ। उर्दू मुझे पढ़ना भी आ गया है, ABC भी आ गया है, गिनती भी आ गई है। और स्कूल में हमें बहुत इज़्ज़त दी जाती है। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हमारे 100 में से 50% जो ट्रांसजेंडर है उन्होंने बैगिंग छोड़ दी है, वो स्कूल की तरफ आ रहे हैं। और सबसे जो बड़ी बात है, उनको वजीफ़ा मिल रहा है, और वो उससे अपना वो सारा सर्कट चला रहे हैं। और असर वालों का भी सो थैंक यू, जिन्होंने
नहीं, नहीं।
हमें इस रिपोर्ट में मेंशन किया, इसका भी सो थैंक यू, सो थैंक यू।
थैंक यू। बहुत बड़ी बात है, और मुझे मालूम है राणा साहब मुस्कुरा रहे हैं, क्योंकि जब राणा साहब थे ये सारा सोचा था, ये मंसूबा, और ये देखिए मंसूबे के आगे फिर जब एक्शन होता है, और देखिए डिमांड कितनी है राणा साहब, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, हर गांव में, हर कम से कम तहसील पे होना चाहिए। और मालूम है दूसरे भी सूबे कर रहे हैं, बट वी नीड फार मोर देन दिस। और ये एक प्रोग्राम है, सियानी सहेलियाँ एक और प्रोग्राम है, बट वी नीड टू टेक एक्शन वेयर वी आर एड्रेसिंग। जैसे एक प्रोग्राम था लर्निंग एंड अर्निंग साथ हो, ताकि लाइवलीहुड्स भी हों, जहाँ यहाँ पे हमारे जायका के लोग और बाकी सब पार्टनर्स भी कर रहे हैं। नाउ हम वी मूव क्विकली टुवर्ड्स द लैटर एंड ऑफ दिस डायलॉग एंड पैनल। अब हम भी बात में करेंगे, और अब मैं दावत देती हूँ DG नेशनल कमीशन फॉर ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट, जो मिर्ज़ा नसीरुद्दीन मसूद साहब हैं। He has been incredible in the support that we have gotten from NCHT from day one. और ये असर की सबसे बड़ी सक्सेस है कि गवर्नमेंट के एक इदारे सेमी ऑटोनोमस बॉडी को मोबिलाइज करके, क्योंकि ये लोग हर जगह मौजूद होते हैं, so it's a very strong community. And we have leadership like Mashood Ahmed Saab, who's held many prominent roles in Pakistan's public service and cultural preservation sectors, and it is an honor that he is a partner with us, along with his huge force of people who worked in both urban and rural surveys, have used the app as well, और इंशाल्लाह ताला हम आगे भी इसको मज़ीद strengthen करेंगे। मशहूद साहब, आपसे सवाल है कि ऐसे असर के कारकुन मिले जैसे NCHT के हैं, गवर्नमेंट में भी काम करते हैं, येट इंडिपेंडेंट भी रहते हैं, और यकीनन उनकी भी कैपेसिटीज़ बड़ी होंगी। हम ये चाहते हैं, हमें मालूम है कि असर इज़ नॉट जस्ट अबाउट कलेक्टिंग डेटा, इट्स अ विजन, its ability to gain capacity on how to do it with responsibility and as an active citizen. हम चाहेंगे कि आपसे भी कुछ सुने, because you are an equal partner with इदारा तालीम आ गई on this.
Thank you very much, madam. बहुत शुक्रिया आपका and for highlighting the problem that Pakistan is facing. और जो आप लोगों का focus था कि education for which is fundamental human rights for everyone. और specifically हमारी constitution में ये provision डाली गई 25A की compulsory and free education for all aged 5 to 16 years. So that means it is now legally justiciable in any court of law. You can go and fundamental rights के अंदर आ गए. So इस हवाले से I will be specific to आपकी report में highlight भी हुआ कि आपकी age 5 to 9 से 20-22% population है जो out of school children है और very specific to this thing और 78% आपके age bracket जो है 10 to 16. That means the future youth bulge that you're going to have is population. So in the next 4 to 5 years, you will get them in that fold. So population youth bulge तो आ रही है, लेकिन bulge की जगह आप कहें कि एक बोझ है, because they are uneducated, they are not getting their fundamental right. So what measures that we have to take to address this thing? So उस हवाले से बड़ा फंडामेंटल सा रोल है NCHD का और उसके अगर मैंडेट में देखें इट्स ऑल रिफ्लेक्टेड इन दैट कि वो बना ही इस हवाले से था कि ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडिकेटर्स को इम्प्रूव करना है. वी हैव सिंस इट्स इंसेप्शन इन 2002 से लेकर अब तक अगर देखें वी ड्रॉप 30 रैंकिंग्स. सो वी आर 130 या 150 पर होते थे तो हम 162 पर हैं. So now we know that it's now justiciable in court of law. So we have to take first fundamental steps or measures that a state could take. Resources की मैं बात नहीं करता क्योंकि जिस आप infrastructure में नहीं कर सकते. So you have to go for the informal sector. उस हवाले से हमारे accelerated learning programs हैं. So you have to launch that across Pakistan, जिसके ऊपर now we have got a buy-in from the provinces as well. So they have agreed, and all that we have to take that policy to the cabinet for its approval. So that's the first step that we will be sending policy on accelerated learning program, which we have already pre-tested. It is going to the federal cabinet, one step. The second that कि हम अब teachers के अंदर invest नहीं कर सकते. We don't have the money. So what to do? दुनिया भर में volunteer teachers के compulsory volunteer teaching का concept है. We have to introduce this thing कि जितने भी हमारे पढ़े लिखे metric and above, they have to go for that volunteer teaching. And third that you have to take is make birth registration compulsory. और वो आपको करनी पड़ेगी. So you have the number exact, where to invest, where to go and where to intervene. So interventions के लिए you do need this number. So ये चीज़ें already आपको fundamentally introduce कर रहे हैं.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very much.
NCHD for your support, and they are there. अगर हम acceleration चाहते हैं, we are there. We now come to have the auspicious, absolutely good fortune to have with us our two champions who are going to speak just now. वसीम अजमल चौधरी साहब, मैं उनके बारे में क्या कहूँ और वो क्या नहीं, वो खुद ही एक बड़े कारकुन हैं for foundational learning. And I think what has happened in Pakistan, in the federation, with support from Wasim Ajmal Saab, somebody who comes from the field of engineering and then civil service of Pakistan, knows how to not just wordsmith, but maybe finance smith or whatever it is. But we need that kind of innovative approaches to making things happen and to making things happen within a system. Sir, 25 से के challenges हैं, SDG 4.1.A के challenges हैं, हमारे साथी हैं, बच्चियां हैं, transgenders हैं, you know this better than anyone else. How do you see, and we see, हम सब आपके साथ हैं, यहाँ पे सारे कमरे में 200-250 जितने भी लोग बैठे हुए हैं, we are here together. But we want to hear from you before we hear from the former minister, कि where do we go from here? What is your call to action? how do we go from here? Ji.
Thank you, Ms. Villa. Honorable former Education Minister, dear kids, esteemed panelists, teachers, government officers, development partners. It's really, quite difficult, and one has to be more innovative when you have to speak on a subject when all your experts have already spoken. But I'll try to, highlight something which I've always believed, and I've actually said it at many occasions, and particularly in reference to call for action, that, that famous Marx quote, which is one of my favorite as well, that the philosophers have hitherto only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. So the ASER report has always highlighted and interpreted many aspects of the education world for the last 10, 15 years, as Musharraf Sahib has said. And Bella is so clever, when it comes to the how part, how to do it, she very intelligently, not, ask the government, how, now it's your call to action, so how do we do it? Not in the sense, because I know she herself is such an inspirational change agent in Pakistan, but this is what the biggest question is, which I want to highlight, is that the data tells you what to do, but it doesn't tell you how to do. And this is the biggest question. For example, I have highlighted the other day as well, that the former Minister Rana Saab told us that I want federal capital near to 0 out of school children. So that is the target. Time is 2 months. The resources are whatever you already have. And now you have to do it. The point was, already we've been contemplating it for the last 1.5 years, how to do it. But at the end, we just thought that we have to jump it and start doing it and learn, as we start doing it. So that is the how part which came in, and believe you me, it was never, the ministry all alone. It was the development partners, the NGOs, and it then actually were the street community workers who helped us to actually bring the kids from their homes, and of course then the data dashboard which we created with the help of able DGPI. The point is, which I'm trying to highlight, is that this is the how part challenge, which is actually, because as we all have discussed, that education is about multiple sectors, cross-cutting sectors. And one thing is very important. We saw that the kids of wealthy parents are performing better. The kids of private schools are performing better. Why? Because we also saw that they also undertake tuitions. The data has highlighted. So the point is, the learning crisis in our schools has a direct link with what we call the question of equity. It's a question of inequality, it's a question of social justice, and we keep seeing that if the kids are coming without even having their breakfast, so unless we provide them school meals, so what kind of learning are we expecting from them? So that is the point, that it's essentially a class question as well. It's essentially a question of social justice as well. It's a question of inclusion, and this is where our domain kind of ends the bureaucrats, and where the political economy starts, taking place. And once we talk of political economy, it's not only about provision of additional budgets. I've been always believing that even whatever budgets we have, that have not been actually spent in the right manner. It has not produced the results which it could have produced. Why? Again, because the how part, how we have to do it, was entirely, because we don't have in the educational setups procurement guys who could, link procurement with outcomes, We don't have the financial management guys who could actually effectively utilize the budget in the education departments. And we only have teachers there, and which is not essentially their job to, to see this entire value chain of the learning outcomes, which starts from not only first class of class 5, and but also from the class 3 or even below that. So the point is, and even once we talk of accountability, yes, the state is accountable and responsible. But we have seen in the NAT test, and we are again seeing in the ASER report, the parental engagement. Wherever the parental engagement is high, wherever the parents have been even assuring that the child does his homework, as the NAT report actually testified, the learning outcomes are much greater. So the point is, it's not a question of state only, as Musharraf has rightly pointed out. It's the parents who are equally responsible, not only for sending, whatever the poverty is, whatever their conditions are difficult. But we have seen in the 0 out of school children that the poverty did not stop them. And they were so thirsty to come, that someone should come and take them to schools. So the point is, the only thing is that we need to even educate them that how do they actually monitor the progress of their children, just like in the private schools. We have the parent days being observed, and every parent is called and being discussed, and this practice is perhaps not there in the public schools. So again, the parental engagement requires only slightly different, innovative way to do it. The budgets are not a constraint in that. So the only thing is that, our philosophers who are interpreting in various ways, they have to come up with very, very grassroots, realistic, and pragmatic solutions, which actually the community would help. For example, we keep talking about 26 million out of schools, but the ASER data is showing us 61% having smartphones. So now the how part is perhaps not provision of additional schools, is perhaps intelligently using the technology. And this is what the ministry tried to do, and creating a tele school, a digital app, and trying to do more and more on those things. I understand that the technology itself cannot achieve all the educational goals, but this is one of the way in going about that. And this is again, the teachers can't do it. You need technical experts within the education department sitting in their headquarters. So where are they? I'm trying to come up with a small, IT or digital unit within the FD, and I know how much difficult it is. So that is why the pipe. Coming to another aspect, the donors. We appreciate their help given to ASER, given to PI, given to many other initiatives. And we have seen that through their help, a lot of access challenges were solved in the past decade. A lot of, infrastructure was built. But the point is, when we say that we have not done enough, or we all have failed, it includes the development partners, because they actually allocated monies for those, kind of things, where perhaps the learning outcomes were not made, the important outcome in the programs. It's only now, after COVID and this World Education Transformation Summit in 2022, when we see that there is a global action partners now for the foundational learning. We had never actually heard this word before, that if we want to address the challenge of quality education, that it is basically the foundational learning, because our constitution was saying that you have to provide education only from 5 to 16 years age. What about from class 2nd or class 3rd, where the cognitive domain is the most effective at that point? So the point is accountability aspect. When we say the data ASER is not only about the political constituencies, it's about the constituency of the development partners again. And of course, the state was an important player in that. And also, I think now the change is quite visible. At one point in time, few years back, when I was in Punjab and Bela was in its initial years of producing these reports, one of Secretary Education was incidentally my batchmate. I asked him, "You are secretary and you're doing so good. I hear a lot of good stories about you, but what is this ASER?" And it tells a different story. He says, "She is telling a lie. She is being financed by donors, and they want to, create an impression that, And that was the kind of skepticism which we used to have. But look now who is owning this report. And we are, now willing to take this data to UNESCO, to the, and if I, I'm seeing so many faces, perhaps the government officers are sitting here much more in number than the private sector. So this is what, is the change. The state is going to, accept its responsibility, but we know that we can't do it without your support, without development partner support, without civil society, without street level community workers, without parents, and of course, without children, Unless they are motivated, unless they find the entire, curriculum friendly, unless they find it that this is something which is really increasing. And of course, we cannot miss the teacher. There have been talk about teachers, and that is the linchpin, whether it is the digital delivery or whether it is. I won't comment upon, some of the data which has been highlighted that in the federal capital, for example, there was a need for early childhood education. So we have invested a lot in that. And as we already have launched the report as well, that how did we actually manage to go about at, almost a zero out of school campaign? It was a real, a moment to be seen that all development partners, including state functionaries and CHD BECs, they were so, passionately involved. And I've seen that the community workers and all that it just happened. We only provided them a bit of right direction, a bit of right kind of planning, and it just happened like that. I'm sure that we all can make it happen. Of course, more resources are needed. I don't deny that. But as you said that I come from a financial perspective as well, that the innovative financing is really important. So, for example, we are encouraging the EdTech organizations. They find the partners all over the world because the international partners trust them more than the government. So we sign the, tripartite agreement. Okay, you gave the financing to them. We monitor the results, whether they are happening on ground or not, and we are happy to, if you provide them directly the amount. So this is one part. We are also experimenting and seeing how can, keeping in view the macroeconomic framework, and we know the political hard realities and the political economy questions will not be changed so easily, particularly now that the elections are held. It's only has to be questioned after another 5 years. So we have to see how can we create space and how can we, come up with more, innovative means. I was at a conference, I traveled about 12 hours to attend this, this conference, and that gave me opportunity to go through all those 182 pages of the report. For example, we allocate so much money for the books. I don't say the books are not important, but point is if we could, provide. I was in Indonesia, I visited a school, there was no actually printed textbooks. They were using Chromebooks and only using digital PDFs. And their learning and their assessment performance was wonderful. So these are the things which perhaps, we can free that budget from the textbooks and allocate it wherever it is needed more. So there can be many, many areas where we can, still, I've been using in the federal capital the budget which was allocated for the teachers. And as we know that there were no teachers, so we used the budget for, outsourcing and hiring it through Teach for Pakistan and all that. So, of course, we will all lobby for more budgets. but the utilization of existing budget and linking it to the outcomes is really a difficult part.